Have you ever dreamed of the perfect sewing space? Join me as I show you mine. Let's start at the sewing table. I have two machines, the Brother sewing machine and the Brother serger. I love them both and I use them both a lot. Behind each one, I have a light. So if I'm sewing during the night, I will have very good visibility of what I'm sewing. I like the minimalist look, so I keep my table pretty clutter free, just the necessities. I have my pins and my scissors, of course, and this little bucket has things in that I use a lot, like the seam ripper and some little scissors. I always keep my white thread in here because I'm going to go right back to this, and tweezers to pull out the thread in the serger, and some replacement needles, things like that I just throw in there so they're easily to access. And the table is quite sturdy, and my chair is on wheels, so it just can go back and forth between the two machines. And you can see I have a pretty large trash can underneath that makes it easy to throw in my little extra scraps there. I'm going to pick up the camera, so I'm going to try to keep it as stable as possible. Back here, I have a little rack that have all of my threads in. I'm thinking that maybe it's not great to leave them exposed to the light, but so far I haven't had a problem, and I sort of like them back there. They're out of the way. And if I pan out, I have this very comfortable chair that I had reupholstered, and it is a little big for this room, but I squeeze it in because I need a comfortable place to sit besides just my sewing chair, and I love it. I've tucked it here in the corner, and then right next to it I have a movable cart that I put all the things right next to my table. So you can see here at the top, I have another bucket that has things like my tracing wheel and my cutting rotary cutter and my scissors and some pattern weights in there and chalk. And down below, I have tape and rulers and the rabbit to cut holes in my pattern. And on the bottom are some books. And then back here in the corner, you're going to see all my extra paper that I just throw over the side of my table. And so then I always have extra pieces. And then here you'll see I have not all of my slopers, but just some of the well-used slopers that I put on a hook right next to the table so I can easily get to them. Then on this side of the room, I have my dress form here, and in the corner I have a very long ruler. You can see back there is the brown long ruler. I just pull that out sometimes when I really need it, and some big bolts of white fabric. And this is my paper, my pattern paper, a very big roll, very heavy. And in my closet, I keep all of my patterns that I had done in the past. I have them all numbered. They're in chronological order, so they're very easy to find. I have a design book that I draw all the designs, and then I put the number on so I can find them. And then just some extra books up there and some storage. This is where I keep my fabric. I don't like to keep a lot of fabric stash. You can see I have a very minimal amount of fabric, and the ones here on the far left are actually not full 3 yards. I typically buy 3 yards of fabric, which is enough to make a dress, which is what I like to wear. So the pile on the left are just maybe 1.5 yards. I thought maybe I could try to mix and match them together at some point. And on the upper left there, I have my sketchbook. And in the boxes on the right, I keep my tape in those and some extra pencils and pens. And on the far right there, I have my big bolt of muslin. So when I want to do a mock-up, and in all these containers down here, I'll open up and show you. So here I have swatches when I order fabric. I typically get swatches, and so I can see which ones I want in there. And here I have all my interfacing. I have a lot of interfacing. I buy it in bulk. And in here, I have zippers and some elastic. And last, this is where I have all my lining. So it's a really great area that I can just keep everything very organized. This is where I stand, and I like this area. In my laundry room, which is right next door to my sewing room, I particularly like the ham and this ironing cloth, which is just a piece of silk that I use. And finally, the heart of my sewing room and my favorite thing is my large cutting table. It's 6.5 feet long and 4 feet wide. It's quite tall. I custom made the entire thing, but the height is 38 inches tall. Since I'm so tall, I wanted to make something that I didn't get back strain by leaning over all the time. We got IKEA cubes that we started with, two back to back, and then we built up the height. And you can see here in the picture that I'm showing you that how we put these beams in, even provided extra storage space. So I'm able to put large pieces of fabric and cut out a lot of fabric all at once without the pieces hanging over the edge. I used to have to cut on the floor like a lot of people do, and I'm glad that I don't have to do that anymore. It's quite sturdy, and I got this great large mat that fits almost completely on the table. It's just a couple inches to the other side, which is fine because I don't typically ever need that. It's a self-healing mat, so I love this mat. And while it takes up about half of the entire space in this room, I think it's well worth it. I'm able to walk the entire way around the table. It leaves very little room, otherwise, but there's plenty of room to do my sewing. And I'll show you my little bonus spot on the other side of the room. On the other side of the room from my sewing station and my table is my art studio. So you can see I love to paint. You'll see the all the paintings that are on the other side of the sewing room too. I have a small easel here that I'm in the midst of creating a painting, and you can see my paints and brushes, and that's one that I painted already. So I love that I have both my space for my painting, and the other side is my space for sewing. Share your sewing room dreams in the comments below, and check out here the list of my favorite tools.